Hey, it's Dan here, and in this video I'm going to share 3 ENFP struggles and 3 perhaps surprising opportunities that actually come from these struggles some of us have with our personality type. Now, if you're new here, my name is Dan, this is Dreams Around the World, and my mission here is to help you become the best version of yourself, all while creating the most awesome life possible for you and those you love. So if you're not yet a subscriber, do consider hitting that subscribe button. Now, us ENFPs, we're a bit of an extreme personality. We have some really cool strengths and some awesome things we're capable of doing that very few other people can. And we have some weaknesses that can sometimes make life, especially when we're trying to conform to regular old society, a little bit more of a struggle. And I want to go through 3 of those struggles here. The first, and this comes up for all of us, is an insane need for novelty, for variety. We get bored really quickly. Now, sometimes this can pose quite a challenge. Just last night on my ENFP Unleashed coaching call with my students there, we were talking about this, how for some of us, we almost think we need to be traveling all the time. We need a ton of that variety, and it comes down to how can you compromise in your life? How can you form a partnership with someone else that allows you to both be happy but not be compromising your need for variety? How can you stay at one job, at one thing, and not get bored? Because as we all know, if you bounce around every 3 months when you get bored of a person or a job, probably not going to lead to the healthiest life in the long run. Now, there is an opportunity here as well, though. This need for variety pushes us to have an interesting life. You know that as an ENFP, if you really accept yourself and go along with at least a good part of your personality, you're never going to have a boring life. You're never going to settle. You're never going to stop growing. This is a really good thing. I don't know if any of you have seen the show. It's called Killing Eve. I heard it was a big deal and I just started watching it yesterday. And in the first couple episodes, every place, it's about an assassin, by the way, in Europe, this female assassin who goes around everywhere. Every single place she went to kill someone, I had been there. Not to kill someone, but on some kind of trip. I even recognized most of the streets, most of the places she'd been, Vienna, Paris, Bulgaria, Berlin, and that felt pretty cool. Like, as a Canadian guy who'd never been to Europe until I was like 28, it was pretty cool to be sitting watching the show being like, I've been to all these places. That's awesome. A big part of that is this ENFP need for novelty, right? That's what has pushed me to become location independent, to live around the world, to have all these trips. And at the end of it, I have no regrets about that. I'm very happy with the life that this need for novelty has helped me create. So the challenge we have is meeting this need for novelty. But the opportunity this gives us is to have an incredible life of personal growth and memories and experiences that most other people don't have. Now, I do have other videos on how to meet this need in a healthy way, and I'll be making more videos in the future. So of course, subscribe if you haven't, because this topic alone can fill an entire playlist of ENFP videos about how to meet our need for novelty in a really healthy way. The second struggle some of us have is that we are the one personality type that is extroverted and introverted. We need time with people. If we are alone all day for multiple days, we start to go crazy. But we also need some time alone, and there's different explanations for this. It might be that we're always the life of the party, so we need some time to recharge afterwards. But ultimately, we need time with people and alone, and that can cause some challenges sometimes of finding that right balance, of making a schedule and maybe a business or a lifestyle you create for yourself where you're with people and getting that need for human connection met really well, but also have enough time alone where you don't get burnt out and you don't feel like you're stretched too thin. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge that I personally deal with a lot, trying to figure out my weeks. As an entrepreneur who has basically complete control of his schedule, I'm constantly trying to figure out that right balance. How many days a week to go out with friends, how much time to spend alone, how to schedule my days and times with clients versus filming alone, and all that sort of thing. So it's definitely a challenge, and if you've experienced that, you're not alone. There's also an opportunity there. The opportunity is self-awareness, that because we've been gifted this personality that has a lot of variety, on top of our need for variety, we have a lot of variety in what we need out of life in terms of extroversion and introversion. Because of that, we have an opportunity to really get to know ourselves and to think a little bit more about proactively planning our lives, about being intentional. And yes, this does create a struggle initially, but it pushes us to learn more about ourselves than most people learn about themselves. And it pushes us to be intentional with how we plan our weeks. And I'm going to do a lot more videos on this concept of being intentional and of planning ahead. But ultimately, if you're being intentional with how you set up your life, you're going to get better results across the board. And this challenge we have is a great excuse to push ourselves to be more intentional with our planning and benefit from those results. And number 3, now I know you've never had this problem, Mr. or Mrs. ENFP, and I've never had this problem, but I've heard occasionally that us ENFPs suffer from having one too many ideas. It happens. Apparently, we can be creative. Apparently, we like to think big picture and think of all the different opportunities we have. Now, this can be a struggle. I've heard dozens of times in the comments from ENFPs saying, I want to do something, I want to work for myself, but there's too many options. I think of something new every day. There's so much I want to do. I want to write a book. I want to start a band. I want to make a movie. I get it. Trust me, you're not alone if that is you. We have an ability to think into the future, to brainstorm, to be creative, and also combined with that, we want to do everything. We want to experience life. Maybe that goes back to our need for novelty. We want to have all these different experiences. And that can create a challenge because what often happens with ENFPs is we want to do everything, and guess what we do? Nothing. We think about everything we want to do 20 different times in a day, 20 different things, and we never actually take action. Now, I have a ton of videos on how to deal with this and how to actually stick to one thing, and I'll link to those at the end of the video. But that's ultimately our challenge, is too many things that we want to do. There's also an amazing opportunity here to be a prolific creator if you master yourself and the ability to actually stay focused and get things done. ENFPs have the ability to be film directors, comedians, actors, writers, entrepreneurs, all at the same time. We have a ton of potential to do a lot of different things. I don't claim to be prolific in what I've done by any means, but in a period of 2 or 3 years, I created half a dozen training courses, wrote a series of books, wrote multiple books, started a coaching practice. I got a ton done when I was focused and intentional and took the right approach to tackling all these many things I wanted to do. We have this ability in ourselves to create a ton of things, which to me is much better than being someone who's like, well, there's one book I'm going to write in my whole life and then I'm going to retire because that's all I have in me, right? I'd much rather be the person who wants to do a million different things, assuming we're able to actually buckle down, focus, and do one thing at a time. If we do that, at the end of our lives, we have the ability to look back and say, wow, that was prolific. We had a massive impact on the world. And that's my hope for you. That's my hope for myself. And that's my hope that maybe this video will inspire you to check out those other videos, learn to overcome some of these challenges and turn them into the opportunities that they are. Because when properly focused and aligned, us ENFPs can be unstoppable. That's the logic behind my ENFP coaching program, ENFP Unleashed. Just like when we are unleashed, we can be amazing. But if we're not intentional with how we set ourselves up, there are some definite challenges. And I hope you found this video both insightful in terms of some of your challenges and inspiring to look past the challenges and look at the opportunities those present for myself, for you, and for all our other fellow ENFPs. Thank you for watching. I publish new videos every week, so if you're not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you're notified of new videos, and I will catch you in the next one soon. Ciao.